Hey, Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Vicky 3, episode number 12. If I'm not mistaken, we have 10 years left on our playthrough. That is not much time, and our goal, we've cleared a couple of our recent goals. Our goal now is Russia. We want to take land from Russia. Of course, we want to finish off Egypt while we're at it. There's a good chance that Egypt could back down if there's enough pressure on them, but I think they'll feel pretty confident with Russia at their support. Right now, we are just ahead of the military of Russia. Barely. Just barely. We've got some room. We're going to continue to expand our military to give us that little bit more of an edge. In the meantime, we're also working on passing wealth voting. We have a roughly 40% chance. There is still a 20% chance to stall, but otherwise, I like our odds of getting through it relatively quickly. I'd say the other two goals that I have are in the time frame. We want to get above 50% literacy, and we, of course, even shorter term goal, maybe the next thing to do is to get that GDP to 100 million for the very first time. And see just how rapidly we're taking off right now. It's starting to grow exponentially. One thing, though, is we have a market where there isn't demand. We are providing everything that our people want or need. We're just trying to convince them otherwise that they need more. Alright, our first one has ticked by and it has gone towards advance, increasing our... I like that pop attraction for intelligentsia. But I certainly like the prestige thing short term, but it's short term, it's not permanent, it doesn't stack. So let's go ahead and take the plus 10%. That now gives us just a 16% chance on stall and giving us an almost a 50% chance of success. Just keep an eye on how France is doing just in case. They have 36,000 army projection. It would be so easy if they became part of the war. Now, Austria-Hungary, on the other hand, is at 28,000. So as Russia's ally, if they became part of the war, and let's keep an eye on that. Do they still have? Yes, they do. They still have that alliance between each other. Now, they shouldn't be called into a war if we take that backdoor route of the defensive pact that they have with Egypt, and Egypt only having 5 battalions and being incredibly weak. I'd love to finish off Egypt, especially as Egypt is so much of the land that we occupy and hold, and why we are a much larger nation than the actual Turkey is in the game. And it looks like the US has stopped their rapid gain of prestige. Last time the US had not one but 2 revolutions that they faced. One of them saw their prestige drop all the way to 700. But it rebounded, just like ours did after we had our revolution. So we lost a lot of reputation, but we recovered that. We lost a lot of reputation when Germany took Tunisia from us, but we recovered that. Since that time, the United States looks like it's now stabilized, and they're only slightly ahead of us, maybe about 30 prestige, seems to be about it. That's not much to recover. Meanwhile, our sponsorship has gone into study now for wealth voting. And we've already seen our literacy jump to 42% in a very short period of time here. Also coming very close to the top 100. German Empire, 86%. Jeez. Cuba at the top. Wow. Well, I suppose that would have something to do with who they are tied to. As a puppet of Spain, you would think they wouldn't be stronger, better than Spain, but apparently they are. Literacy, though, is very high for Spain as well, 75% roughly. 99.8, we're approaching 100. It is getting so close to that, while of course working on that wealth voting as well. We've topped 400 battalions now, and are up to 19,500. That might be the edge we need. That's about 1,000 points stronger than Russia. I think we can go for this quite soon as we hit 100. There you go. It's happened. We've reached 100 million. GDP. Still number 7, though. One of the game's long-term goals, of course, is to urbanize your country, and that is all your states reaching, or 75% of your states reaching, a urban center of level 5 or higher. We have a lot of individual states that have a heavy, good, strong population, but overall, as a whole, not necessarily. There's a few really dominant states within our country, but that's about it. So it's been hard to get to kind of an across the board 75%. Right now we're at 33, and we've been at 33 for quite a while. Another advance is we have our third tick on the wealth voting. Plus 15% chance is definitely a good one. Yeah, we'll take that. With that, the odds are now strongly in favor of this going through. Stall is down to roughly 12%. Advance is down to just under a 1 in 4 chance, where success is nearly a 2 in 3 chance now. Literacy is now right on the edge. We're at number 101. So hitting the milestone of reaching the top 100. It's our final one to do so. I mean, GDP, top 10. Standard of living got into the top 100 a little while ago, is now at 60th. Progressing a little more slowly at the moment, but that's more just because our market is not allowing for people to come up. 60 million, that's 7th. So we're, and of course prestige, we're hovering back and forth with the US. Who is this? United Syndicates of America? Whoa, okay. The US has just made a flip upon itself and added some prestige for that move. We were just ahead of them moments ago, and they made the switch just about real time there. And yeah, the United Syndicates of America, great power number 6. Population is 75 million, so they're just, 15 million ahead of us. Their GDP is at 111, so it's about 11 million ahead. Their standard of living is about 1 point ahead of us. Definitely a little bit on the stronger side, but their army is significantly weaker. Holy crap. Do we want a war with them? Well, I think we would have to also beat their navy, and that's so much stronger than ours. That's one area we have not invested in a while, is our navy. So why don't we do that? We'll add 3 more torpedo boats. We'll add in 2 more ironclads to bring that up to 40. This one's at 18 of 22. Let's go ahead and add in more ironclads to make up that number. That's not going to give us significantly more strength or anything, but it's also not going to give us significantly more cost. It'll just be a minor expansion. 11% chance to stall, and it managed to stall. Let's take the bureaucracy and the setback, because I don't see this being a major long-term issue. So we'll take a bureaucracy penalty. We still have a positive of 200, so we're fine. By the way, when it comes to technology these days, as we're just getting started on pump jacks so that we can get oil so that we can upturn our arms productions. Weekly innovation, just 114. It's not a huge number, and we've added a lot to this through universities recently, but it's just still not a fantastic number, and I feel like we are way behind where we could be. And if we get a brief look at where we're at on tech, as I haven't shown it in a long time, pump jacks is something a little bit advanced that we're working on, as there's others in the area. Shift work might be a good one to kind of pick up in your future. But military, we have focused on of late. We finished this whole row here on the land forces side, on the Army side, where the Navy side, we have not gotten into destroyers or submarines. And so we're lagging behind on that side for sure. This is about slightly ahead compared to some others, but maybe behind compared to a few of the other nations. And when it comes to societal upgrades, like, I'm used to being almost done with the entire tree by now, and we are very much not there. Civilizing mission. Rights is going to come through here shortly. There's a lot still to do. A lot. Like I said, normally I'm done with the tech tree now or within the next couple of years. But looking at where we're at, I mean, obviously we're working on the voting, on the wealth voting. Looking at our human rights side, this is why we're still lagging behind. This is why literacy rates are still low. This is why standard of living is where it is. And why, even though we are growing rapidly, there's still limitations to that. There's no social security. We have no migration controls. We still have the slave trade active. 1928, we still have slavery. We still have legal guardianship for rights of women. Child labor still allowed. There's no workers' rights. We have made zero advancements in human rights throughout this series. This is the first time that I've ever had this happen in a playthrough where we can't get that ball rolling. We have a very, very traditionalist society where, okay, fine, we got public schools. There's still no health system. We're stuck on tenant farmers, proportional taxation. Like, a few things have made gains, but it's just so minimal. It is so far behind. Let's hope we get steady this time as this is about to tick through. Still, 3 times in a row we've been at the 50 plus range, and we've had advance, stall, advance. 20% boost though. Oh, I like that loyalist thing. That's just in Eritrea. 84%. Still ain't happening. We're at 19.5. Russia's at 18.5. I feel like it's time, but I kind of want to get this wealth voting behind us, but we're running out of time to be able to conduct this war. I think we're going to have to suck it up and go for it. GDP still just above that 100 million for the moment, but we are inside that top 100 now. 43.6% literacy, jumping pretty quickly here, especially since we pushed the education modifier to 30%. There is a movement trying to push property to women, but the intelligentsia just don't have much power. And just like for once the local governors aren't impacting us, they want to preserve landed voting. They just don't have the support to make it happen. Law finally progresses to voting, so it took 5 attempts was it, before we finally got through there. It's at 84%. I mean, the odds are so strong. 5% chance of stall, 10% chance to advance, 84% chance to succeed. We're going to get that through shortly, and then on with the war. We have finally unlocked human rights. Is this something that's going to start giving us an opportunity to push laws in that direction? We have wealth voting. I'm not going to immediately start the war, though, as France has a revolt in Congo. I want to make sure that they are ready just in case. If Russia jumps into the war, which we expect them to, France may be willing to jump into our side, which would make the victory easy, make it fast. I'd love to see that possibility. I don't want to risk that chance, and especially as I start claiming states in Russia, we very well could see other countries want to jump in as well, and that could be problematic. So the revolution in Congo is now an active war. We want to kind of see what's going on with this one. Okay, they already hold the land, so that's going to tick on down here pretty quickly, and then as long as things still hold up and we still have an advantage over Russia, we're going to go for it. Ooh, the intelligentsia are enjoying. We don't want the pop attraction for... Yeah, I guess we'll take the momentum. 90 days until an election, chance to reform the government a little bit and maybe get a human rights advancement before the end of this playthrough. And that war is just about to tick by. We're also just about to tick into October of 1929, a very ominous time where, I don't know, is there going to be an event that triggers for that one? But France is no longer in war, so they've resolved that. We have resolved what we've got going on. Russia has no wars, but let's check their strength. They're still at 480 battalions. They've added 100 strength. They're at 18.6 now instead of 18.5. But we've added quite a few battalions, and we're now over 20,000. So we're about 2K, almost 2K ahead of Russia in projection. I do have my puppets that add a little more strength to us. Another 45 battalions or something like that. So it's 10% of our strength, meaning 2,000 is what we could expect for their strength. That should give us enough of an edge. That should do it. We also have an election less than a month away, but that one I'm not worried about. Egypt still just 5 battalions. They themselves are an easy one to take. They still have a defensive pact with Russia, but no other relationships. The only thing that sucks is we're looking at 20 infamy for taking the rest of Egypt. It looks like Russia would join in, but Persia and Moldavia are both ready to join in with us. I would like to get Persia in because they alone have 2,400 in strength. Moldavia has 1,300. So we would like to call on those allies. This is going to be a pretty big fight with Russia. Other potential situations. One, Britain. France could join on our side, but they're central. Germany could join. Austria-Hungary could join. The US, or whatever they are now, could join. The Netherlands, less worried about that. But this could be a big deal. Let's give it a little bit of time before we start throwing in war goals, but we have 100 maneuvers. And we already picked up 10 infamy, so that's starting to go. 2 ready to sway our direction. France could join in. Russia joins. Okay, Russia has joined with Egypt, but it looks like France would join. Call ally. It's 20 maneuvers, but let's get them in on our side. That's going to set this up for success. Okay, present. Whoa! Look at that, 31%. But yeah, it's the combination part. I don't think we can get. No, we can't. So France has joined us. 47. If we take the industrialists with the military, you know what? Let's go for that one. We might be able to get something passed through that, but let's not worry about that just yet. Here you can see in blue our puppets and all those extra regiments that we're going to pick in. It's definitely going to be more than 2,000. We have enough strength to beat Russia alone. With France supporting us, hopefully we now have enough to hold off others. Also, there's a limitation to how much infamy we're kind of willing to take on, so we'll get what we can from Russia here, but I think there's only so much we can really expect. Alright, mobilization, definitely on its way. There's still one more sway country that's out there, and that is Persia. I'm not sure I need them at this point. We have 80 maneuvers still available, so let's start adding in those war goals. First off, let's finish Egypt. I hate that that's so much, but we want to finish Egypt. I think we need to wipe Egypt off the map. Never mind that it's a backdoor path to attack Russia. It's 1929. We don't have that much longer in the playthrough as it is. But then it is definitely time to do something regarding Russia. The first thing I want is the remainder of Dobruja. So Russian Dobruja. We're now infamous. Let's keep an eye on what else is out there. British Republic, German Empire. Let's wait a little bit, see what happens if any of them join in. We have significant advantage with the help of France. At the moment, with France not even here yet, we already have a pretty strong advantage on the front with Russia, but it's far from a done deal. We are halfway through our timeline here. I still have 47 maneuvers, just the one small Russian state that we are claiming at this point, and they are uncertain. The big thing I'm watching out for, though, is Britain and Austria-Hungary. Germany is out. Okay, that's the big one. Well, that's one of the big ones, anyway. Compared to relative strength, British Republic is still number 1. Their army is number 2. They are right there. Is France number one? They are. So France is just a little bit stronger, which means we would still have a slight advantage if one of them joined. With Britain, France, Britain offset each other. We offset Russia. But with our puppets, like the slight advantage, and the slight advantage would mean I think we would be okay, just barely. Austria-Hungary is number 4, though. So if they were to also join, things are definitely not going to be in our favor. So hoping that one more of them drops out before we get to that last, like, we have to go for it phase. Because Persia just stepped out, so I can't also call on Persia right now. Whoa, oh. Damn, it's time. Hey, it's time. I don't want to add too much. We definitely don't want to go below, above 50. We're already on Infamous. But we can't take literally just one state. Azerbaijan actually would be a good additional one. And lower infamy. Escalation is paused for 5 days, so we'll wait. See what happens here. Okay, down to 1 day left on that pause. Neither one of them jumping in at this point. Greater Caucasus would go right with that to bump us up across here and along the Caucasus Mountains. It would be nice to finish taking the Caucasus. 14 would put us at 47. Keeps us below 50. I think that's the last one we go for. 6 day pause. Both of them staying out of it for now. Okay, Britain's out. If Austria-Hungary join in, I don't care. I do not care. We have 26 maneuvers remaining. This is Dagestan. We could definitely get that, but then what? What about this side? Kherson. 35 infamy. 35 infamy. That's a lot. I thought it capped out at 25. Now it caps out at 35. And that puts us into a whole new range, though. But Kherson's a big gain. Do we want to wrap around and separate them from us? No. Either Kherson or Dagestan is the choice. I don't like the level of infamy gained. I'm worried about the level of infamy and what happens after the war. Nobody could make a diplomatic play against us till the war is done. Adding 10 infamy means we can be below 50 by the time the war is done and not have somebody turning around and attacking us. We'll take Dagestan over Kherson. And there you go. That's it. We can add Egypt to primary for 5 infamy in case they decide to back down. But they're uncertain. They're not scared. We have a sway available? The Netherlands would join, huh? That's okay. We do not need the Netherlands for this. We've got it under control. So we have a plus 57 advantage on the front with Russia. We just discovered oil. So we just got pump jacks unlocked. We can now do oil, and that's going to be one of our progression things. We need to get oil started within our nation. Before I forget, oil rigs, 3 states can do it. Really, just 2 states can do it. But I was trying to do 5 and 5, not 10. Back that down to 5 again. There we go. All right, back to an evaluation of the war. So we have a plus 57% on the primary Russian front. We have a 100% 7th Turkish Army alone to take that first state that we're planning on claiming. And we're looking at that state plus 3 right here. So 4 Russian states and then both Egyptian states. We have a 100% advantage here. We have a 92% advantage here. Alrighty. Strongly in our favor with France on our side. And it's happening. It's happening. War in the mud completed. Defense in depth gets a 6k bonus if we take that one, but we're going to have some nastiness. 8k if we do that. What's worse about it? Nothing. Just stormtroopers instead. Or we get trench rat for one of our generals. I like the let's get 8k on stormtroopers, I suppose. Alright, war starts ticking down immediately. And the dead and the wounded, we're on the advance, so we are taking losses much heavier, much faster, but the cost of war is already higher and worse for them. Okay, it looks like we already claimed this state. Yes, we occupy it. And that's going to add them to the front where we have a growing advantage. And it looks like we are now at 100%. Egypt has been nullified. We're about to hold the state here. And both of these forces will end up moving to the primary front as well. Maybe. No, it looks like you're just going to go sit tight. We'll keep you present here. But once we hold this one, we'll move the Arabian army to the main front. There we go. Now that puts everything on one front. Nice and easy, nice and neat, nice and organized, and we're already starting to make advancements. Significantly stronger. Russia's bringing all their reserves, it looks like, to the front to try to help. We already hold one Russian state. Now, Egypt will bow out of the war pretty early. They'll be gone, and then we'll be focusing on Russia in the head-to-head. In terms of the dead, we're starting to take control, and you could see it. So we took initial losses, 60k, very, very, very quickly. That's the, well, doing kind of what Russia's doing today, and that's the going gung-ho and going head first and damn the losses. But then we started to gain control. And once we started gaining control, that was that. Starting to put them under duress and press the advantage, which is now meaning they're taking a lot more losses than we are presently. Now, this overall war score, well, that's Egypt. Egypt's going to be capitulated rather soon, and we'll get both Egyptian states. Then we'll really see what the score is when it comes to Russia. But they're catching up on the dead very, very quickly. The wounded, though, they're already significantly worse than we are in those regards. Not all the dead are us, either. I mean, we are 61k of the dead, but France, battle and attrition. Jeez. Oh, you know what? Ours isn't, it's not even battle, it's attrition. We've lost 60,000 to attrition. We've only lost 11,000 in battle. We have some healthy bonuses, it looks like. This is about stable, though, right now. We seem to be losing as much as we're gaining. And here we go. Egypt's about to be out of the war. We're about to have ourselves 2 new states, one of which is, I think, a part of Gondor. Is it not? Yes, it is. So Gondor already, it just has the turmoil and devastation, but otherwise no problem. Kordofan is a new state. Let's go ahead and begin incorporating right away. It's 5 years to complete that one. And Egypt is no more. Now focusing in on Russia, where we hold 2 states at the moment, working on 2 additional states, and we already have an advantage in the war. We're still at plus 84. They're already down to plus 61. Occupation, though, it's low. It's just 3% for now. It's going to take a little bit to really tip the scales on that one, but it is occupation, and it's occupation of states that we're trying to claim. Therefore, they will tick below 0, and as we are hardly going anywhere with this one, it's the casualties, it's the war casualties that are ticking us down, and radical population is ticking us down almost more than the casualties. In general, we're moving at like 1 point a day due to exhaustion, where they are ticking down at 3 points a day due to exhaustion. The radical population is similar to ours, but the the losses scaled much, much higher. And that enemy occupation will increase, but not rapidly. I mean, even once we take these states, I mean, we have some of like 3 states right now occupied. looks like with France, this is under firm control. So let's go ahead and deploy. Join in, occupy the Black Sea. Down to 41% for Russia. And yeah, with France's help, this is rather easy. We still have a positive balance of 75k, even with the war ongoing. Construction is now up to 320. GDP is up to 110 million, up to number 6. We've moved up a spot. We've also surpassed 45%. But again, my goal is to get us to 50 or higher in the short term. Would love to get to 12 on standard of living, but that's been pretty flat for the last 5 years, only just slightly moving up. Oil, Trucial Coast, that's good. Okay, we have that next state. 2 more states, 3 more. We've taken all 3 states that we held partially. That, how much does that do to increase? How are we still at 3.1%? That's all? Really? All 3 of those states were tiny? Kherson was not. I thought Kherson was a pretty major state. Apparently not. The dead, we are slowly catching up, breaking even, but the wounded were, that's 3-2. Cost of war, though, has kind of ticked into costing us a little more, at least as a whole. It's costing us 5 million, which is more than what it's costing France. But you can see just how broken and beaten Russia is at this point. It's easily going in favor, and they're down to plus 14. There we go. Now occupation's up to 8%. 8%. Still only 0.1. I guess you got to get above 10% before that's going to start getting any sort of added bonus. But we have an 85% advantage on the front. We have parts of 1, 2, 3, 4 states currently gaining occupation. Russia sending some units back to reserve to try to recover before bringing them back to the front once again. And we're up to number 5. We are up to number 5. We have passed Russia. There you go. So we are just sapping the prestige of Russia as the war continues, and that's bumped us to number 5 in the rankings. Way behind the top 4, though. But France still doing well. They are gaining prestige. We are gaining prestige. What's going on with the U.S.? Are they having another... Something happened with the U.S.'s prestige. They're not part of this war. Huh, interesting. I don't know how they lost so much prestige, but we are very much pressing the advantage right now. A 90% advantage. And like I said, those 4 more states are all close to getting occupied. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 additional states. That's going to see us well above that 10%, and they're already to a minus 26 as it is, but we've just jumped to 19%. Now it's, instead of 0.1, now it's 0.5. Making it go that much faster. This war is going to be done here fairly quickly. It's 1930, so we still have a little bit of time. Is it 4 years or is it 6? We're pretty close to the end of the playthrough either way, though. British religious revolt and the British Republic, so they're swapping, sharing prestige. That's what's dropped us to number 6 right now. So it's a revolt against Britain. You can see 3 states that we are actively working on taking. Minus 56. War is going to come to an end here fairly soon. Let's check our market, see what we need. Ammunition for the short term, as we are actively fighting a war along with ironclads. And we've claimed those next 3 states, where Russia is down to a minus 75 now. We're at 48% occupation, which is a full point per day. Or week, I suppose that is, right? It's once a week. I love how that, despite how this is broken down right now, this is still just coming in as one front. So you're not getting all that variation. Minus 95, it's nearly done. We're about to complete the task. This would have been much, much harder without France. I'm glad we spent the maneuvers to call in France, and I'm glad that nobody else stepped in. Austria-Hungary didn't step in. Britain didn't step in. Apparently they have their own issues, but there's 4 additional states, and just like that. Now, Dobruja, already incorporated. We own the whole thing. We didn't add anything else here. The other 3 were all on this side. So, Azerbaijan, Again, incorporating that 5 years. We have the Greater Caucasus. Incorporating that one. We do not have anything in that region just yet, so that is additional, but 5 years on Dagestan. So that's where we're at with those guys. But that is a definite push deeper into Russia, and that's going to weaken Russia quite a bit.